Hey, how's it going? Um, in this video, I want to talk about kind of a macro decision and some internal conflict I've been having with regards to my direction and what I want my days to look like. So, for a little bit of background, I'll say basically the conflict I'm facing is, should I go all in and spend a lot of time building something exciting that is driving me and that is moving me forwards and that is getting me closer to the goals that I maybe am not even conscious that I have, but that I know I'm capable of. Like, that's not the question. The question is not, am I capable? The question is, should I be pursuing what I'm capable of? Now, that sounds good, right? It's like, of course you should be pursuing what you're capable of. The flip side of that is the part of me that is learning to be present, that is learning to be instead of to do. The part of me that knows that I ultimately want fulfillment and satisfaction in my life, and learning to be fulfilled and learning to be satisfied. The way I'm thinking about it now is that those are skills. And that part of me thinks that if I set some big audacious goal and get back on the treadmill, the hedonic treadmill, where you keep chasing something, and then once you get it, you just set a higher goal and keep going, right? That's the hedonic treadmill. That part of me is worried about, like, don't get back on the treadmill, dude. Because you're not going to be satisfied. You're going to be pursuing something that interests you, but you'll be doing it just for the sake of pursuing something, and not because it's actually going to make your life better. This part of me believes that everything I've ever wanted is available to me in the here and now, internally. And that my focus should be on learning to understand and enjoy and appreciate the now, and like channel those emotional experiences of satisfaction and joy and connection and those kind of like deathbed type emotions of just like, wow, like I'm watching the sunset and like I'm glad I got to do that. And I'm having dinner with friends. I'm glad I got to do that. Like at the end of my life, right? I'm like, oh wow, like I'm glad I got to do that. You know, pursuing deep relationships, investing time in more or less hanging out with people, right? Like that's where relationships come from. And for me, there's an internal conflict between these two things. And I want to kind of try to get to the bottom of it a little bit. So I have some notes here I've written. I guess I'll kind of just keep going back and forth talking about each one until it's clear in my head what is happening. So the first part is, this is kind of the hardworking part. This is the part that wants to build for the future. So this part is the one that I have gotten used to living with, that I got used to living with growing up. So this was my default mindset when I was growing up, was the present isn't really all that important. We need to be building for the future. So in every moment, I could be building for the future, right? I could be doing something today that my future self says, oh, thank you, Ethan. Like, I really appreciate that you did that for me, right? And like, to me, this feels natural. And another way that this part kind of shows up for me is the idea of the marshmallow test, right? The delaying gratification piece. That's something that I know I'm really good at. At least I used to be. And I used to be like, I could put myself through hell, just through a super not fun experience, if I believed that it would make my life better later. And that actually ended up being, at times, pretty harmful because I was not paying attention to how I'm actually feeling. But also at times was super, super helpful. Like, it put me into situations that many other people never get to experience, like, making the amount of money that I was making, or like being able to have the flexibility and the freedom to honestly have a lifestyle right now that most of my peers envy. Most of my peers want to have a job that, they don't have to work all that hard at, where they work remote, where they make good money, where they can choose where they live, where they can choose their hours that they're working, where they've, found a passion that they are interested in, that they want to pursue. And like, I understand that, like, I'm in a really good position in life. And a big part of that is because of all the work that I have done in the past, the previous versions of myself have done. We can get into that terminology later. That's a different video. But I really actually don't feel all that connected to myself 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, because I'm like, it wasn't really me. It was that version of me was thinking completely differently, behaving completely differently. And so that's still the case. And so a part of me is like, well, I know that I'm going to be a different version of myself in the future. And that version of me won't really resonate with who I am today. It won't really care all that much about what I did on, June 3rd, 2025. And so for me, that's the piece where I'm like, I could just, be like, I'm waking up at 6:30 a.m. I'm doing a hard workout. I'm, actually like working hard for 8 hours on this thing. I'm, eating really well. Like, kind of, it's an all or nothing thing, at least in my head. It's an all or nothing thing because if it's not all or nothing, if I have like a little bit of ambition with a little bit of being satisfied with the here and now, like, that context switching just takes so much energy and like doesn't make sense in my head really. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. It feels like I have to choose a path. And I'm acknowledging in my head right now, like, just because it feels like I have to choose a path doesn't mean that's necessarily true. But I just want to express that that's how it feels. So marshmallow test, being a doer, basically do, like, just get shit done, That's what this part of me wants to do. And I will say that there are things that I'm aware of that I could easily be doing right now. Like, I'm doing a little bit right now when it comes to like building a coaching business and thinking about what are the things that I really enjoy talking about and like what are the conversations I want to be having with people, who do I want to be meeting, how can I meet more people, how can I create, the whole BS with the sales funnel and the lead magnet and the whatever else, just like the small business type building type stuff. And a part of this actually is that I met someone or became aware of someone recently who was a peer of mine. And this person they were a doer. Like they are on the path of just doing, and they're posting about how much they're doing and stuff like that. And a part of me internally kind of cringed because this was probably the second part of me that's like why are you doing all that? Was kind of it was like, you don't have to do all that. You don't have to wake up super early. You don't have to sleep deprive yourself. You don't have to have all these rules and all this structure. Because ultimately what we want is to get our needs met and to flourish. But to get our needs met, and what I've found, I guess, in the recent years has been getting my needs met internally, which is something I'm committed to doing, instead of trying to go external and, if I speak at this event, maybe I'll feel like enough. And if I, get this girl's number, maybe I'll feel like enough, right? To get my needs met internally, it's more about subtracting off what is preventing me from getting my needs met, more than doing additional things. And I've found that to be true. Like, my internal state is a trillion times better, night and day, like 0 to 100, when I've been listening to this second part, okay? But my external life went 0 to 100 when I was listening to this go, 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 do part. So, that's kind of I guess maybe that's the crux of it. I'm gonna write that down. So this is 1 and 2, external and internal success. And I guess the question is, can I do both? And I'm picturing a completely separate, completely different, distinct day if I was to take one of these, each of these paths, right? So the doing path, and I've been on this path before, and I got the external results. It was generally me setting up systems to do things that I didn't actually want to do in order to get external results that I did want. And when I did get those external results, I was treated better. People responded better to me. I had more status. I made more money. I was able to manipulate the outside world to meet my preferences. And I was hollow. And I'm thinking back, and like the people that I met during that time are not here anymore. And the things I accomplished during that time are not really here anymore. There must have been a reason I stopped doing that. Partially, it was very expensive with time and energy. And I didn't have any time to actually feel connected to myself because I was just always doing shit. And I think I know this about myself, that I'm someone who is really, really good at doing stuff. Like I can just do. Whatever it is, I can do it, more or less. And so, when it comes to like kind of building my business and building my life and where does the business fit in my life, it's a temptation I have to go back to that place, because I'm like, I think in 2 weeks I could have a script for a very good, TEDx speech, TEDx presentation that I could pitch and probably get accepted and probably do a TEDx thing and have it on YouTube and get 300,000 views and become, an industry thought leader in the world of kind of like practical spirituality, psychology, Gen Z thought leader, whatever category I'm talking about here. And like, my whole life could probably change in a couple months in that direction. And if I play that out in my head, I'm like, I don't know if that would actually make my life better. And it's hard to predict, but I mean, it's cool when people treat you better. It's cool. It's nice. It's easier when, my social life is kind of more, I was going to say like lubricated, kind of like just everything goes more smoothly and it's easier. And people can maybe understand me a bit more, but they would be only understanding a part of me. And so a lot of the things I've been thinking about are, the TEDx talk is just an example, but like launching social media or doing some kind of like sample coaching sessions and putting them out there. And like all of these things are doable and like I think objectively would make my life externally better. Like quote unquote better. I would have more status, more power, more access to money. But it's just like it doesn't feel aligned. And what I want is to feel aligned. What I want is to feel like myself. And so this other part of me, that the other side of this is just being. And just being, what that looks like for me is a lot of walking. I love walking. I love it so much. Just being means waking up, doing what I need to do, brushing my teeth, getting a snack or whatever, and packing up, getting my laptop, my notebooks, my portable charger, the book I'm reading, and just going outside, just going, maybe talking to people on the side of the road if I want to, channeling the internal state that I want, which is warmth and curiosity. I have exercises that I can do to channel warmth, to channel curiosity, asking questions, to channel openness, to channel closeness with myself. When I have closeness with myself and I feel loved and I feel valued and I feel like nothing's wrong with me, then I can just be. And it is enjoyable. And I guess the kind of hard ass part of me, the hard worker part of me, is popping up in my head saying, well, there's nothing to show for it. Like, yeah, you had a good day or whatever, but there's nothing to show for it. So it's like I know that I can like have a lot to show for it, but it's gonna be empty. But then it also feels like I can, be internally fulfilled and then kind of externally just be stagnant. So in times like these, I want to do two things. First, I want to acknowledge that both of these parts of me are trying to help me. These parts are not conflicting with each other. Ultimately, there's two different paths that I can take, and there's infinite paths I could take, right? These are the two that I perceive as familiar and comfortable and that are available to me. And it makes sense because these are the two ways of being that I've been embodying at different times in my life. So I just want to like acknowledge and say to myself, like, I appreciate both of these parts coming up and trying to help me in different ways. And I love that I'm a type of person that has both of these types of things in me, a drive towards external success and a drive towards internal fulfillment. I really do appreciate that about myself. And I wouldn't change it. The second thing I want to say is whenever it feels like there's an either or, sometimes there's an opportunity for a both and. And I know I just said, it's kind of easier if it's black and white. And it really is. It is easier for me if it's an either or, but there's potential for it to be a both and. I don't need to make this decision right now. Maybe there's a way to be creative about it. Something I'm thinking about, just kind of being creative with it, is my mornings, I'm typically more likely to be in like kind of a grind mindset. And even if I like to get shit done in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, I typically kind of run out of stuff to do or run out of energy. But I don't know if it's fair to myself to only be in the B mentality when I am tired and burnt out. I know a lot of people, they kind of have the do energy from like Monday to Friday and get stuff done. And then on Saturday and Sunday, or sometimes just on Sunday, they'll be in the B, mindset of like, oh, I'm just going to chill. I'm going to have my tea. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to go outside. Like, that exists too. That's an option as well. Right now, like for me, every day is the same. Like today feels like today's a Tuesday. It feels like it could be a Saturday or a Sunday. It doesn't really make a difference to me. Although I've been in the B mindset, I will say that like I am still doing stuff. I am currently, my focus is meeting a bunch of people, doing kind of like speed friending stuff. I've talked about this on the YouTube channel here before, but doing speed friending stuff, hosting events where other people can come. And I'm currently thinking about what's kind of another event that I could do. And once I do an event one time, typically it goes pretty well. And I'm like, oh, I can just easily throw this together next time without as much effort. So, I am still doing stuff, and sometimes I remind myself the second part of me that is more interested in wanting to enjoy the present. That part of me reminds me that, I can slow down, and that I am doing enough, or just that I am doing stuff. It's not like I'm actually sitting here on my couch for 10 hours a day and just being. Like, I am doing stuff. I'm working out. I'm eating well, more or less. I'm getting out on walks. I've gotten 10,000 steps a day, probably 85% of the days that I've been in Chicago. So that's great health-wise. I'm journaling every day. I'm thinking about how I can kind of get closer to where I want to be, and I'm actively coaching people. Like, my coaching business is active, even though sometimes I don't give myself that credit, or I don't talk about that, or I don't think that that's like a win, but I do kind of acclimate to those wins pretty quickly. I will say that I currently have about 6 to 8 people that I've met here in Chicago who feel like they could be good friends, and that if I was to take this being approach, it could just be like, hey, like, let's hang out. Like, if I spent 1 or 2 nights a week just hanging out with these people and having conversations and improving my relationships with those people, like, that would be a massive W. Like, I don't need to fucking speak on the TEDx stage. I need to, like, make 2 friends. If I made 2 friends, dude, like, that would change my life. Writing this down. Today, I sent text to people that I want to be closer with and I want to hang out with and stuff like that. And, like, we scheduled dates to hang out. We scheduled times to go grab some coffee, or to discuss, or I sent texts discussing like an article they sent me, and it's like stuff like that. Like, that's happening. It's just that my days in the in between are just, I get bored. I think that's kind of the thing here. It's like boredom exists for me. And so the being path kind of feels out of alignment, because it's like I do enjoy doing things. So anyway, that's just a thought here. I'm gonna kind of wrap this up. Again, it doesn't feel like I have to make a decision on this. I'm leaning more towards remembering kind of the wisdom of the being, and remembering that even if I just do a little bit each day, which still, like, my being is like 80% be, 20% do, that still gets more done than, because I'm going in the direction I want to be going in, that still gets me closer to where I want to go than most other people. And, like, yes, I could completely change my external life in, like, a direction of getting more status or credibility or social media followers or money. But even if I had all those things, like, I probably would still just want to be walking outside and with my backpack and my notebooks and, like, listening to music and just enjoying the day. Like, that is endgame for me. And just, focusing on, like, one little problem at a time. So yeah, like, that's just kind of where I'm landing for now, or maybe where I'll put the bookmark in this is, like, I guess what I'll say to my parts is, Ethan, I appreciate that you want to do, and I know you're really good at doing. I know that it's tempting to just run off and go do something, like, fantastic and to create something that you know is possible, you know you can, you maybe you want to, but I want to just remind you that those things aren't really getting us any closer to where we want to be. Pursuing those things, pursuing status, pursuing more money, pursuing people, seeing me in a different way, in a better way, as an expert with more respect. Like, that's all kind of fool's gold. And I think that might even take us farther away from our goal of living in alignment. So I hear you and I appreciate you. And I'm going to think more about what is it that's lacking in my current day that you're trying to alert me of. It might be the experience of flow, right? Like the experience of growth and being able to see something and be like working on something and track it, having a goal and working towards it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a question of, is that going to take away from being able to like be here now in my body, experiencing the current moment, being engaged with my senses, right? My sense of touch, my sense of hearing and smell and taste, and slowing down and taking this opportunity to just be. So I'll leave it there for now. Hopefully this was helpful. It was for me, and I'll see you in the next one.